All right, well, it is 7 o'clock. So what we're going to do is, before we start the meeting, I'll go ahead and, those of us that are starting a new term, or starting the first term, we'll go ahead and do the oath of office. I will give you both an opportunity if you want to do something a little special, like you want to, I don't know. Otherwise, normally we just stand up, just read the oath of office, and then we move on with the meeting. Okay, all right. If you want to, three of us, let's go ahead and stand up. And yeah, we'll just read it right off the list here. So, I, Brent Bankson, do solemnly swear to affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge
faithfully the duties of the office of Eden Valley Mayor in the counties of Meeker and Stearns, the state of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability. All right, it's official. Congratulations. Now it's official.
Thank you.
Now the real work begins.
Okay.
Lifetime's over. No.
Well,
we still mess around.
All right, so then I will go ahead and have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we'll go ahead and officially call the meeting to order. Take a look at, there's nobody in the public forum, so we'll go ahead and move on to tonight's consent agenda. Everybody had a chance to review? Any questions? Oh, we got to approve the agenda first. So look at that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, I got a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
The second by Ann. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion is approved. Now on to the consent agenda. See, I'm acting like I'm a first timer all over again. All right. Anybody had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Any questions? Hearing none. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're on to appointments and salaries. So this is the part where what we'll do is every 2 years, I reappoint people to different commissioners, to boards. Michael, I didn't get a chance to talk to you ahead of time before the start of the meeting. That's on me. But I do have an open slot for the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I would like to nominate you for that. It's basically the Planning Commission. They handle planning and zoning, variance requests, new building permits, so on. They meet once a month.
Once a month.
If there isn't anything, then they don't meet.
Oh, okay. It's usually the last Wednesday of the month. Fourth Wednesday of the month, sorry. Which is usually last Wednesday of the month.
Most of the time. So
Most of the
if you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Cindy will write you and put you down in that spot. So, all right, so then for appointments, I have acting mayor and check signer, Pat Becker. Street commissioner, I have you, Michael Clavin. Police commissioner, I have Pat Becker. Fire commissioner, I have Ann Fischhaber. And then water and sewer commissioner, I have Troy Huschley. Board representatives, the EDA will be myself, Brent Bankson, and Ann Fischhaber. Planning commission will be Michael Clavin. Joint water board, water and sewer commissioner, Troy Huschley. Our city attorney will be Adam Ripple from Rinke Noonan Law Firm. Our city engineer will be Kent Luagi from Bolton and Mink. Our official newspaper is Eden Valley Watkins Voice. Our official depository is Farmers and Merchants Bank of Eden Valley, with provisions that the city reserves the right to seek the best interest rates on our investments. Our tree and weed inspector is myself, but I do delegate to our public works director, Mr. Zachary Blonigan. And then our emergency management director is Steve Schmidt. Authorized signatures on checks will be Cindy Anderson, myself, Brent Bankson, Pat Becker, and Sarah Garland. I'm not going to go into the salaries and that stuff on there, but anybody questions? All right, and then I will ask for a motion for approval. I move to approve. All right, I have a motion by Michael. I have a second by Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now that takes us to amend personnel policy, response time for this is to add police officer response time. We're gearing up for the interviews for our full-time police officer.
Missed number 4.
Did I do it again? All right.
Bring you back around. So if you want to finish this one, you can.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish this one up here, and then we'll go back to boards and commissions. I apologize. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm gonna use that as my excuse tonight. All right, so we are getting ready to start interviews for another full-time police officer for the police department here. And some of the discussion that we've been having on the hiring team is response time for that full-time officer. You know, and that just basically means, you know, how far away that they can live when they can respond to the city, you know, respond to city issues, city situations when Evan is not available. We were talking about adding that to there. What did we end up deciding on? Was it 30 minutes?
Half hour.
Half hour.
Yeah. Right now in the personnel policy for Public Works is a half hour to any location. Fire and rescue is 10 to 15 minutes, and 10 to 15 minutes is for a state standard for fire. I did call them to find out if it goes more than that, I really go down, so we don't want that. You know, the longer it takes for fire and rescue to respond, the lower the rating is. We don't want that. And then the police department, he had talked about a half an hour to any location is a doable amount. It had been in the policy, but it just said police chief. So I want to make sure it covers for the whole department.
Now this is the part where I'll open up for discussion for any questions that you might have. Anything you might want to add. I like the idea of having response time for the officers. Just, you know, you never know what kind of situation that might come up. Evan has a family. He also has well-earned vacation too. So there's going to be times where he is not going to be available, and an officer is needed. Now, granted, we also can rely on both counties, but you know, in certain situations. But if we're going to have a full-time officer here, you know, it would be nice to be able to leverage our own resources before we go to the county. Any other questions?
I guess I do have one. Would it make sense to have the police department the same as fire and rescue response time?
You mean at 15 minutes? We actually discussed that.
No, it's just I'm just wondering,
No.
because it's if you have a domestic or something, and we put in there a half hour, that's a long time. And if we're gonna have fire and rescue at that 10 to 15, it just would, to me, it just makes sense that the police department would be on the same standard, unless there's something.
Well, I think the thought is they're gonna be on duty,
Right.
80 hours every 2 weeks. So that would cover a lot of that, where your fire and rescue are not full-time on duty. And I think Evan, he had stated that he will make sure that the officer, or there will be coverage during those peak times where you would need to have somebody on those calls.
This response time is when they're not on duty,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Right,
I was just looking for clarification.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
what I'm
not
asking.
sitting, you know,
Yeah.
Evan doing paperwork.
No, because I'm just
Yeah.
thinking if if we got them on duty and you get a
Yeah.
call in, it's like,
No, this is
This
when
is-
they're not, when they're not, when
What are we
we,
doing here?
you know, during a time period when we wouldn't have.
that's fine.
an
No,
officer.
that's fine, because that would make sense to
Yeah.
get that time in there then. Okay.
And that half hour is the minimum,
That
or
would-
rather the longest,
That would be the maximum.
the maximum, rather, not minimum.
And
Maximum
we
outside.
talked about tightening that up, but then, you know, we want to be able to have that officer be able to live where, you know, not have to, they could have more locations to live,
Right.
you know,
You
because we,
limiting where you're gonna be at.
right,
flexibility.
where you can, you know, where you can potentially have, you know, have your residents set
You
up.
could really tighten your pool of applicants if you say you have to live within 10, 15 minutes.
Well, no, I was just like, when I was looking at this, I was looking at it as a response time, when somebody calls. You know, like,
Oh, no.
right
Yeah,
now,
that's what I
that's
thought.
where I was going
No.
with it. So the clarification, how this makes sense,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, sorry about
Off-duty
that.
time, yeah.
We'll add that
yeah.
clarification in this.
No, that was just where I was at, and I
Because that-
apologize if I didn't read that correctly.
It's the same for Public Works, this half hour
Yeah,
is
okay.
not when they're working. I mean, his response time when people call is about.
that's why I just
4
thought,
minutes.
God, why wouldn't it be the same?
You know, you're pretty good at, while you're working.
Yeah, no, it's, I'm glad you asked that question.
Thank you.
I'll make the change.
All right. Outside of the one little change, any other questions? All right, then I will move to put on the table to entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Troy
And I second.
and a second from Ann. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, on to boards and commissions. Looks like we have a permit for 308 Brooks Avenue South. This is to move in a house and a garage onto a lot. This is a,
Now, do you want to take this one?
yeah,
Sure. So it's for JK Homes. They bought that lot by the St. Peter's Church, old St. Peter's Church. They're gonna plan on moving a house and a garage in there. We looked at all the setbacks and everything else, and it meets the requirements, so we are basically saying that we approved it, and we would like the council to approve it.
did we have any conversations with them about, you know, we don't have the greatest track record with people moving in houses?
Yeah, we talked about that night. But we also looked at his personal track record of getting stuff done in town, you know, the way his properties all look, and we didn't think it was gonna be a problem.
Okay.
You know, I think at some point you gotta look at a per person basis too.
No, technically, we don't have anything to stop it, so,
Right.
but, you know, just, I know that concern is gonna be voiced by somebody, that, oh, another house moving in, you know, what's this gonna look like?
Well, and they're motivated to sell it, you know, probably more motivated than some of the other people that move stuff into town,
Right.
so.
I think you hit the nail on the head with your comment about the motivation part, and we're moving one in. I had the same concerns. I looked down, looked at it, seeing who it was, and I think this one will be okay. I hope so. I hope we get a good one here.
Well, to Pat's point, his previous projects he's done have always been top tier, you know, so,
Well, that's why when I seen it, it was like, yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
Do we have an expectation of a reasonable time within which that project would be way beyond the time that we would expect it to be completed?
from the issuance of the permit, they'd have 1 year to complete it.
1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that we've talked about before, is like, is a year too long? Is it, you know, 'cause we've had projects in the past where, you know, they sit in various states of completion, and you have to prod them a little bit to keep moving.
I think we should revisit that, you know, at some point.
At some point, it'd be worth talking
Sooner
about.
than later, but as far as this one goes, I don't have a problem with it.
No, I don't have a problem with this one either, so. With that being said, I will go ahead, oh, well, actually, any other questions? No? Then I will make a motion to approve the site permit for 308 Brooks Street South for a home and garage. And a second by Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so. Resolution 2023-02. Yes. Oh, there's a rental, oh yeah, you've got a rental compliance officer proposal, so.
I did put out for RFPs for rental, and I heard back from two that they would not be submitting one. And I did receive one from Ryan Residential, which you have in front of you. And I had gotten this recommendation from David Tisk, who is the developer who did the apartment building, said he does all of their properties and recommended. So you have before you the proposal, and this is only for residential. This isn't for residential, for rental. It is not obviously for a building inspector, it's just for the rental properties. He's not licensed to do as a building inspector.
And does he do this type of work for other, he said he does it for David, he does inspections for David Tisk, so. Okay.
That other company didn't submit a proposal, the one that,
I talked to them because they had said that they would be interested in it, but in putting it together, the cost is, our fees would go way up. They didn't have anybody locally available. The closest person would be coming from Rosemont. And so when they would come up, they would have to do all their inspections, and then we would have to pay the mileage along with the permit fees that we charge, and that just starts multiplying. And so.
We need, well, I mean, he's the only one that's interested.
It is tough. I talked to Meeker County, and they have a new person, and he's not interested in taking on a rental inspection. I'm sure he's brand new into Meeker County. They didn't say they wouldn't do like if we did building inspections, but he didn't want to just take on the rental inspections here. So it's very hard to find. It took them a long time to find a new person, and they had to pull somebody out of retirement to come back, for a temporary. So there just aren't people getting licensed for this, for inspections. So, and we can set it for, whatever parameter we want. It's not a 5-year or 10-year contract. This would be an annual thing that would be revisited. The fees that he proposed are the fees that we currently have in place. We would want to, and that's on the fee schedule, I want to adjust it to add an administrative fee so that we're covering some of the costs of our office along with theirs.
as long as he knows, or whoever talks to the renters, that, it's what the fees are plus that, whatever the administrative fee is.
They're all over their forms, all over. I don't think there's a page that doesn't have their costs on them that we turn in.
Did we have somebody last year?
We did, we had
Okay.
Darren Hondel, he took a job with the school,
Okay.
which conflicted with continuing on with that.
Okay.
All right, I'm okay with it. And I would definitely give something that we just, we actually need to be able to fulfill our ordinance requirements.
It was starting to get a fairly good flow with some of the the owners, the rentals, so I would hate to not do it, because some of those are gonna go, it's gonna circle backwards rather than keep moving forward with it.
All right, and I would assume we need a motion. We'd like to make a motion on that one.
I'll make a motion that we, I don't know if hire is the right word, Ryan's Rental Repair LLC for, let's do it for a year for now and see how it goes.
Okay, I have a motion on the table. Second?
You didn't do it before me.
You were just a hair quicker. All right, I have Ann with the second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Good. All right, on to, now we're on to number 6. Resolution of 2023-02, amend fee schedule. Cindy already started talking about one item on there that had been adjusted. That's the adding of the administrative fee per hour. That's actually going from 25 to 30. The equipment got some changes there. Just
Lawn
to,
mowing is for those who choose not to mow their lawn, and we have to send somebody out and mow them, it's $100. And it's been $100, but we have one or two who would like to use Public Works as their lawn mowing service. So we want to get them away from that. So rather than, so the second mow, it would be 200, the third mow would be 300, and on and on and on. That way, we're not trying to take a lawn mowing service business from anybody. So we want to keep it higher than it would be to hire somebody to mow their lawns. And this is per hour, not per lot.
Just out of curiosity, what was it?
It was just $100.
It was just, so we want to raise it from $100 to something else?
On the second mow of the year.
Oh, so you added the second and third? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes up by $100 every time that Zach's got to send somebody out to mow the yard.
Right.
And Zach gets slower and slower, which every time he gets there.
Yeah, next thing I'll be out there, it'll be
Good revenue, I guess.
scissors.
Yeah.
Zach's got better things to do, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, and then the rental administration fee of $30, and I think that was, yeah, those were just the ones that were changed.
Right.
It's good.
Yep, that's it.
All right.
One question for you. The labor charge for city employee per hour at 50. You think that should be a little higher?
Where are you?
Below your lawn mowing,
I do.
because that doesn't even cover
Right.
everything. If the employee's gonna go out, we gotta think of the benefit package, the whole 9 yards, and that 50 doesn't cover that.
Correct.
Does 75?
I would think he'd be closer to it.
Okay, perfect.
I just think if we're gonna do that, we should
Yeah.
our cost.
Right. Oh,
Not make a
absolutely.
profit, but at least pay his wage.
It made sense, 10, 15 years ago.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Okay, good catch. All right, anything else? With that, put a motion on the table to approve that, plus the amendment of adding an extra $25, or actually changing the labor charge for city employees per hour from 50 to 75. All right, I guess I made the motion, Troy made the second, all in favor? Aye.
Yeah, that worked.
Like I'm gonna have to be quicker on my toes there. Keep up from you tonight. All right, so that brings us down to departments. I got Cindy.
The bills, so that's the first item, is to approve the bills that you have before you for a total of $767,386.19. it sounds very high, but that is also included in there is the $625,000 transfer that went to our 4M fund, so it's not really a payment, but it comes out that way. Because it comes out of the bank, so we have to show that, so, seems really high, but that's why. So, need approval for that.
All right, we'll take a pause there. Any questions on the bills for this month?
Make a motion to pay the bills?
Motion by Pat to pay the bills,
Second.
and a second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to the December financial.
You should have in your packet the cash and investment balances as of December 31st. And we have a total of $3,933,183.53 in our cash or our investment.
For Michael and Ann, you want to explain what that number means? Because that's not truly what we've got
To spend today.
today. I know, I ruined your vacation to Vegas, right?
That's right. We have a cash fund, and earlier, Councilmember Fischhaber had sent me an email reminding me lingo that we use might not be commonplace for the new council members, so correct me or ask me or send me an email. We have what I refer to as a cash fund, and that is the bank in town. That's where we have all our bills going through, is our cash fund. That's where initially things get deposited to. Then we have funds in a 4M fund, which is a money market fund. It's funds that I can call them today and they'll wire transfer it tomorrow morning if we need it back. It just pays a lot better interest than the bank does. And then we have RBC Financial, we have stocks, investment funds, and we have in there is about $1.5 million in there as well. We have a CD as well. When interest rates went really low, we got a CD for like 1.3%, which was crazy good at the time. But now they're going back up again, so that's nice to see. We're getting revenue. So no, out of this $3 million that you see there, we currently have in the bank about $475,000. And I have bills in January for $155,000 this week, because February 1 is our bond payment. So a big chunk of our bond payment amount in February and August. So it looks good, and it is good. We have a healthy balance. And
as a city, you want to have a good, healthy balance like that, because you never know what might happen. You might have a water main break, or heaven forbid, one of our we had severe damage to one of our city buildings. We've got emergency funds or we've got reserves that we can pull from to make sure the city stays operating as it is today.
I'm thinking about 3 months, the auditors will come in and say that the city auditors will come in and say, we'd like to see that the city has about 6 months in a reserve. And I think last year we were at 9 months, so, of operating expense,
That's average monthly operating?
No, so we have enough to operate for 9 months if we don't get any money in.
Oh, okay.
If the federal government stopped printing money, we would have 9 months. Well, actually, right now we got well over 12 now. We could operate the city as is today, for 12 months.
And some of those funds are in capital improvement plans, so that in Public Works puts money away in different funds, so snow removal, so we have money set aside for that.
Is any of that restricted? Any of the investments?
Sure, some of the money is, we have funds that we have to put away for PFA. We can't use that funds that we're required up by our bonds to put money aside. We still have funds sitting for the fire hall until that's paid off. We can't use money, and most of it is just on, we keep it in a fund specifically marked for it. Yeah. I will put you to a spreadsheet so you can see what's restricted, what's not, what's available, what's dedicated to something.
Last question. On average, what is the budget like in terms of our expenses, monthly expenses, average?
Oh.
300,
There's no average.
100?
Because of the bonds come at different times.
If you go based off of just off of a yearly, and that's where we usually operate off of is yearly, because, you know, bond payments come out different times of the year, different payments that we make as a city might, you know, there's not, you know, it's gonna constantly ebb and flow throughout the year. You know, so we usually operate as a council, from a yearly perspective, and our budget for next year is north of $1 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have, I think.
Questions for Cindy?
And the audit is the President's Day week of February.
Ooh.
That's when they're coming in, or you gotta have your stuff submitted?
That's online.
It's
Yep,
all
yeah.
on.
We have to have our stuff submitted by then. So, yep, we're putting that together. They will ask to speak with a council member. I'm guessing this year, because it's an election year, they'll pick one new and one that's been there. They're really looking for, they ask a variety of questions, whether it's a fraud audit, if you suspect fraud or you found anything that you, that's what they're looking for.
I've never been asked to talk to them.
What?
I've never talked to them.
Well,
Not that I want to, I just,
I'll let them know.
you know, because, you know, they are a competitor, so.
Yes, they are. But I'll let them know they've never been asked.
All right, so we do have one other thing here, and that's schedule meetings for the building, Minnesota Building Code discussion for Ann and Michael. Last year, we started going down the route of discussing openly about adopting the Minnesota State Building Code for standards, for doing away with the, you know, way our site permits are done today, going something a little bit more stringent, something a little bit more structured from the state of Minnesota. A lot of other surrounding communities are currently doing that. We're kind of an anomaly with just strictly just using site permits. So we had one informational meeting. I think it was very informative. Was very one-sided to one degree of not doing it. I've been approached by a member of the community, an ex-business owner in the community, that missed that meeting and really is adamant that we do go with the Minnesota Building Code, because he's seen it firsthand, some of the shortcomings of not having the state building code. So I want to get that put back on the books again. I want to still do those informational meetings, you know, getting feedback from the community, getting feedback from contractors, from lumberyard, you know, from the lumberyards, from you know, handymen throughout the community, get just open dialogue and feedback, and just to make sure that, you know, we as a council, when we go to move either to adopt or not to adopt it, you know, we have all the information in front of us to make a good informed decision. So I went long-winded there, so I want to be able to start picking those back up again, probably this month already, if we can. We could either use part of our workshop, or we could have a dedicated session. I know if we put it as part of our workshop, depending on how many people we have show up, you know, we could end up not accomplishing anything in our workshop unless we strictly time box it. But I don't want to be able to make sure that if we do have a bunch of people that want to be heard, that we actually give them a chance to be heard. So, thoughts?
Well, we gotta put it to bed one way or another, so whether we do it or not, so might as well get it on the books and get moving.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I think I got a couple of questions sometime last year about, those city ordinances, and I remember thinking, the state requirements, they're those that are required, and I believe that we are following those, but just for good practice, and it's something that it's easier to follow up on if something happens, like you said. At the same time, I know there are sentiments on either side, very strong sentiments that perhaps we should not do this, and people, so that information would be important, because then we can lay out what it is and what it's not, and get people to discuss, like you said. So I think it's a good idea. We should put it out.
So. Dates. Usually try to hold things to Wednesdays. I know that kind of, you got kids with religion classes on Wednesdays.
I got a driver.
That's right, you got a driver in the house now.
For at least this year.
So, do we want to try to get one? I'd like to try to get one in yet this month, if possible.
I think if we do the meetings for the building code discussion, I think the other workshop items maybe need to be limited. And maybe
Or just do a dedicated one, period.
just for that.
I'm okay with either way. I think I guess I am kind of leaning towards a dedicated, because then we can leave it open as long as we need to.
Because I think you're gonna get so many different people,
Right.
different thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you limited it, then it's gonna kind of,
All right. So I know the next available next available Wednesday that I have is the 25th.
We certainly want to have enough time to advertise.
Yeah.
Because what I heard last time is people didn't get enough put it in the paper and
That happens.
put out some invite.
That happens to be a planning and zoning night.
Is that a planning and zoning night?
So it might all fit in to that structure.
We have nothing right now as far as for planning and zoning, so if we would need to move that, maybe we could combine it.
Or we could just, or we can, if timing and getting it published and making sure everybody knows about that meeting ahead of time, the next date on that would be February 8th.
I think that would probably be a better date. Later rather than,
February 8th, when you think?
Yeah.
give people time so they don't say,
Gotta go do
you
your
didn't
research."
tell us about it. Yes,
All right,
give enough time.
all right, well then, let's go with February 8th then.
I'll check my schedule, but it should be worked out.
You check with your scheduling
Yeah,
coordinator?
I'll
I
check.
could be in Mexico that week.
Yeah.
Is that your week to Mexico?
You can go.
Do you want to move it up to 6:30 or leave it at 7?
We can move it up to 6:30, if that'll work for everybody.
It's fine. As long as we don't get like a big blast of snow.
Well, we're gonna play it by ear. If we get a big snowstorm and it's gonna be an issue, then
Well, yeah, then nobody's gonna be able to make it.
nobody's gonna make it anyway. All right, 8th at 6:30. All right. Anybody got any questions for Cindy before we move on? All right, on to Zach.
It's snowing a lot, so try to, if there's,
Hadn't noticed.
you hadn't noticed, no.
Oh,
If you got fire hydrants by your house, try to get them cleaned out best you can, just in case fire department needs them, so just a friendly reminder. And, the current shop water temp is, 45, so with all the snow, hoping for no freeze ups, so. Yeah, so things are well,
what do we figure we've got for snow cover now?
a lot, yeah.
Over a foot for sure now, I think.
I would think so, yeah. So,
We had that almost today.
Yeah.
And yesterday.
yeah, so just lots of snow. Busy.
Any word on the truck?
Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna have to reorder, so. I think I'll probably see who can actually, if there's one sitting on a lot somewhere, we'll grab that one instead of getting on a list and waiting for one maybe, or.
So why did we have to reorder, or?
Cause they stopped making, or they stopped taking orders for the 23s at the end of December. So, the Chevy didn't pick up the order.
So now you'd have to wait for them to open up for.
In March,
In March,
yep.
for potential delivery when sometime in
Earliest
24.
would be September.
Earliest would be September this year. So what would it have been if they would have picked up the order?
He didn't have an actual,
Okay.
yeah, he didn't know.
Didn't say. Okay.
Probably close to the same timeline.
Probably, yeah.
The unfortunate part, there's no guarantee in that business right now either.
No,
You could be postponed for another year. I mean, really. You're just on a list. You purchased it and you're here and.
right. And since we're getting a regular cab with a 8-foot box delete, it's not like your everyday pickup that most of
It's
people.
almost a special order nowadays.
Right, yep.
So if it went like with a crew cab or something that's more seems to be more common now, then you would.
Maybe get picked up further, but we really don't need, there's no need to spend that extra money.
I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you should order a High Country, you'd have it next week.
High country, top of the top.
Yeah.
trim, yeah.
I'd say
Realistic,
either way, you're either gonna wanna get that order in, or
yeah,
one way or the other.
yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna change much.
Yeah. How critical is it to get it replaced
Well, sooner rather than
sooner
later.
rather than later? Okay, just a question.
Yeah.
Are you entertaining, lately used trucks as well? I know we've gotten a couple for the fire department that have.
Yeah, I
working
mean,
out pretty well.
yeah, depends where they came from, kind of, if they're actually lightly used or not. But yeah, so the process starts over, kind of.
I think the plus side is you were looking for a white truck, weren't you?
Yeah, that way
A little bit more common than.
the box can be reused on the next one, hopefully. Otherwise, you gotta repaint it and.
Now you have a box without a truck.
Right.
All right.
Any other questions?
So would you have to open that up again, or would you have to bring that up for,
No.
or can you just talk to him again and let it go?
If he went 20,000 over what you approved, he needs to bring it back.
Yeah.
As long
Otherwise,
as he stays within.
if it's in that,
He doesn't.
Exactly, yeah, cause what I'm saying is, I would just go get it on the list
Sure,
and be done with it.
okay.
Because otherwise we're gonna keep going back and back. If he can find one, great, cause they could stop the order,
Okay,
but I would talk to
Or you're talking.
Litchfield again
Yeah.
and just make sure, but if you could find one in advance, great, but otherwise, get that order, have him get that thing rolled together,
perfect.
would be my suggestion, but.
Not a bad suggestion.
Yeah, sounds good.
Any thought on Hutchinson Ave? Road?
Roller coaster?
You lose more of your brush going down than you actually get to the pile.
Got lots of thoughts on that road, yeah.
Just a thought, I went down there and I thought, holy buckets.
Yeah.
That one is terrible.
Talked to a couple paving guys and they said if you take the asphalt off and you just slap new asphalt on, it's gonna do the same thing in 2 years.
You're gonna have to rebuild it and try to get that water out of there.
So, yeah, how far do you go? Cause they put that, the bumps are from tile lines that were put in, and that runs down the south side of the road to the creek. But obviously it's not taking the water away quick enough, so, I don't know. It's on our list to get done, but
I was just asking.
yeah,
I went down there and I thought, wow, he's been putting this one on the back burner.
yeah,
He wants the new truck.
yeah, you gotta.
Well, you got natural speed bumps,
Yeah, true.
because you are going
Yeah,
down.
pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Get a ticket from Evan for crossing the line.
There's no lines there.
There's nothing.
Yeah, it is rough. I drive it every day, so.
Figured you did.
Yeah.
Just asking a question.
Yeah.
So can we talk about my favorite topic in the wintertime?
What's that?
Snow on the sidewalks. There are a lot of sidewalks that are not being cleaned. A lot. I know I have a friend that lives over here, she walks to work, and she says she walks down the middle of the road because the sidewalks aren't clean. I personally think that's a hazard.
Well, we have an ordinance, so we either enforce it or we get rid of it.
That's exactly my feeling, either we get rid of it or we enforce it. Brent and I keep our sidewalk clean as best we can.
I don't think you wanna get rid
I
of it.
tried today, it didn't work out very well.
Oh, there's,
Do you have a sidewalk?
I know, but.
Well, just, you don't have one in front of your house?
No, but
Just your house one.
Unfortunately, this has been an exceptional year. That's the problem.
And we've had a couple snowmobilers that have come across our sidewalk, which makes it even
Makes
worse.
it horrible.
So, long story short, we're gonna have to start sending out notices.
I think next year, if we can, maybe start sending notices before the snow comes so that they know they have to clean their sidewalks.
It was in the
was in the newsletter.
and it was in fall. And it's part of our ordinance.
Yeah.
And when people come in and tell me they're not going to do the sidewalk, I know they know it's one of the ordinances, because they're letting me know it's not doing it.
So, going back to the fee schedule, what's the hourly charge if we have to do it ourselves?
$110.
110,
110 an hour?
yes,
So if you up the labor, you'd have to up the equipment on that one too. I mean, you'd have to up that fee, right?
that is.
Because if we're upping it 25 for the labor, you'd have to up that as well,
If you want that.
right? I mean,
Well, it's just a sidewalk. It's not like it's not like they're removing snow from the entire lot. So I just want to make sure that we had something mainly.
well, there's something in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But just going back to that, if you're, if an employee's doing
Oh, I
it,
see, like, so we up the hourly employee
yeah.
to 75. Now, do we need to up the 110 to cover the
So
additional
the
25?
135 to cover that, that was where I was going
Okay,
with that.
I'm with you now.
Yeah, we can certainly send out notices, I just need you to let me know, not just at council meetings, but give us a call, give us an address. Try not to refer to it as the house that, Sharon used to live in, because I don't know those people. But if you can give me an address or tell me it's, one off of a street or, and we'll get the letters out.
And address,
And there'll be-
street address is preferable.
Yes, but I know that many houses don't have street addresses, even though it's in the ordinance.
House numbers.
House numbers, I mean, yeah. We'll put that in the notice too.
You have to send one to yourself.
I am. They didn't put it back when they put the siding on. All right, we'll start that.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow, so I think there'll be a lot of people that,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, perfect.
Anything else for Zach?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Employee of the month.
There we go.
especially this one.
Yep, just this one.
Get a little
3 weeks,
thing for you.
Yeah.
it turns around for snow.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. What you got for us, chief?
Well, should we start off with the same old list here? Take a look at the calls. And for Michael and Ann, I can discuss to a certain extent the happenings, A lot of my stuff is confidential, but if you do have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll answer as I can, all right? 71 calls for service in December. Really haven't seen this drop-off we usually have in the wintertime. Hasn't really happened. Usually it gets a little bit slower for us. People are out less, people are driving less. Haven't really seen that this year. So we had a lot of shifts on TZD, which is the traffic initiative that we started, that we got the grant for, which attributed to many of those traffic stops. I don't list it in here, but those traffic stops, 4 of those ended up being arrests. I should maybe start notating that, maybe somehow. I'll figure that out. 4 of those ended up being arrests, DUI, driver's license violations, stuff like that. Yeah, any questions on the call for services from that list there?
Well, the illegal dumping, what was that? No, it just got my curiosity up, so.
So specifically that one, somebody was using a city dumpster. And it was a very brief conversation that I had with them, very understanding, and they said, okay, I'll stop. So the helpful part about that one was I got really good info to start with, and so I was able to wrap that one up real quickly. I was super decent about it. Yeah, otherwise, if you see those, it's usually people putting stuff at the brush site, and I get notified by him that it happened. So those are the main 2 that we have here. But because we don't have a lot of people, when I work for the county, there'd be people that would just dump a truckload of stuff in the ditch in the middle of nowhere and drive on. We don't have that problem in the city. I think there's too many eyes watching. Yeah. And then what I do is I just pull from our CAD system for the name. So illegal dumping is just what it's listed as. So, but otherwise, I'm gonna leave the big one for last. I forgot to mention something at the last meeting. The canine cage got put in, and that was done very, very well by Guardian. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. Chase has a much safer area to be in. It's awesome. They did a great job. We had the holiday train this last month, and fire department, public works, and I helped out a little bit. It went off smoothly though, no major issues. So I think that was a great event. And then I guess the big ticket item here is, I didn't get it in early enough to the packet, but, I made a traffic stop last month that turned into a very large drug bust. I can't really say much more beyond what's in the news release. But that happened, and this fentanyl is some dangerous stuff. So,
So just out of curiosity, did you do that on your own, or was that with assistance of Chase?
there was assistance, yeah.
I just want to
Can't
make sure that
specifically
people
say.
do know that he helped out with this,
Right,
that there was value there.
It's an ongoing case, so it can't.
Right.
Yeah. All I gotta say is good work on that.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a big bust.
yeah. It was a big year, so, at least for me. So, we'll see what this year brings, right? We'll see. Any questions?
Questions for Kevin?
I don't have a question, I have a comment for you. Just like to thank you for the work that you're doing, in your short time here. It's really been noted. And the kids, I could just speak on my 2 alone, that, they know you by name. Hey, there's Chase, there's, so the impact that you have already started in the community is huge. And the fact that the kids know you, know Chase, I think it's great. So just wanted to give you a kudos on that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And I have 2 older kids, and they've said that they've seen you walk through the halls, you and Chase both, so.
Oh, yeah, Chase loves going in there.
I think they're actually kind of shocked that you allowed other kids to pet
Yeah, so when I first originally was talking to the purchaser for Chase, I told him I wanted a social dog with a good nose. And they do all sorts of tests in Slovakia before they bring them over here to see what the mentality and, you know, where they're at on the spectrum for working dogs. And he got me exactly what I wanted. Chase, and part of that's, you know, nurture versus nature, but I've tried to socialize that dog as much as I possibly can so we can do stuff like that. So I can bring him out and do, you know, a canine demo at the fire hall, you know, so we can have him interact. He's not just this cool looking dog that you can see through a barred window. He's part of the department, you know, he is for
Being
everything.
part of the community.
Right, yeah, there we go.
That's all I got.
All right, anything else? Okay. All right, then that brings us to anything else? Okay. Then next meeting date will be January 18th at 7 PM. That's going to be a workshop if needed. I don't personally have anything on for that agenda yet. But if we don't, usually we try to usually have two meetings a month. One will be a meeting like this, the other one will be a workshop where we can work on things, whether it be like ordinance updates or the Minnesota Building Code or any other projects. Like we got a project coming up, you know, gives us some time to work in an open format. It's still considered an open meeting, so anybody from the public can come to these meetings, no matter what. It's just not as formal as a council meeting. There won't be necessarily any decisions made during those. So that'll be our next meeting, and then our next council meeting will be on February 1st at 7 PM. That will be considered our monthly regular meeting. And then on February 15th, which will be actually technically would normally be our workshop, but this year that's actually going to be our Fire Township Board Council meeting. So our fire department, the fire district that we have contracts with some of the surrounding townships like Manana, Eden Lake, Luxembourg, Union Grove, just to name a few, Forest Prairie. That we all get together once a year to discuss open business in concerning with the fire hall, or with the fire department, the fire hall. Goes over really well. You know, we have all the townships, us there, we discuss open items, open topics, and then there's lunch served afterwards.
Go over the budget.
Go over the
That's
budget.
when we submit the money they pay.
And what time of day is that one held?
Seven.
And it's usually
Seven?
7.
Okay. You said lunch, and I was thinking,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
it's just
Dinner, supper.
Okay.
All right, other than that, I don't have anything else, so go ahead and I will adjourn the meeting. We are done.